All the big name CEOs are here at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, and one of those big names, no stranger to Yahoo Finance, that is PepsiCo CEO Ramon Laguarta. Ramon, always great to see you. I appreciate it.
Great to see you, Brian.
Weren't we just here? I was just here a year ago, man.
Time goes by fast.
It does. You know, there's lots of different areas I think we could start on with you, but I want to start on climate.
Okay.
We've seen the incoming administration, I think, push off climate goals, move quickly to change them, focus now on big oil. But what do some of these changes mean to a company like PepsiCo that relies on Earth for its various products?
Yeah, as you're saying, we're an agriculture company. We source 35 crops around the world in multiple countries, and we're seeing how climate is impacting agriculture and obviously our business. So for us, we'll continue to work on improving agriculture, making sure that we have a resilient food ecosystem that provides a good quality source of raw materials for us. Make sure that our business continue to innovate, continue to supply and service consumers with the best quality. So for us is how do we make PepsiCo resilient and a sustainable company for the long term? That's how we're approaching agriculture and climate.
Is it more difficult to stay resilient when the country may be doing things that spur more climate change?
I don't think the current administration will be making decisions that go against companies becoming more sustainable and becoming more resilient for the future. So I think the government will help us, and we have very good collaboration in water conservation, in reducing energy in our plants. So there's a lot of things that make PepsiCo resilient that are coherent with climate smart solutions, and I think the government will continue to help us become a better company, a company that continues to serve consumers the best way, minimizing the use of resources, because that's good for business, good for the planet, good for communities.
Were you surprised that the administration pulled out of the Paris Accord? A big climate initiative.
It is a big climate initiative, and it's obviously we will continue to, as I said, we will continue to push all the initiatives that make sense to make PepsiCo sustainable long term and resilient to all the changes that happen in across the world, and where we're seeing that in our agriculture, and that's for us is such a critical part of our business that we continue to be helping farmers to become more resilient to have a big business going forward.
Are tariffs a threat to your business? For those investors not familiar with the PepsiCo model, they a big risk?
Of course, we could be impacted, but I would say to a very small extent, because we are a company that is local for local. The fact that I was saying earlier, we're mainly an agriculture company, and we source most of our crops from the local markets where we service consumers. So you should think about us as potato being grown in Turkey to serve the Turkish consumers, or potato being grown in England to serve the English consumers. So that's the nature. We have some parts of our business that have been exposed to international movement of raw materials. It's a small part of our business. We've been working obviously on resiliency of our supply chain. Geopolitics have been important in the last few years, as you can imagine. So we've done a lot of work on becoming more resilient, more local, having more supply chains that can stand different disruptions that may happen around the world.
Is it harder today to be a public company, global company, compared to 5 days ago when President Biden was still in the House? I mean, I'm hearing so much concern about global trade wars.
Listen, I am hopeful that the current administration will help us close some of the big wars that we have today in the world. So both, the stability of the Middle East is very relevant for us as a company. We have a big business in the Middle East, and also the Ukraine war is impacted us. We have a lot of associates in that part of the world, and so I'm hopeful that there will be a new energy, new ideas coming into play to close down those two very negative events for people, but also for businesses and communities.
We talk every time you report quarterly earnings. It's by phone. It's not here in the World Economic Forum in Davos.
Good to see you.
Yeah, likewise. And we've talked a lot about U.S. lower income households under pressure still. How much under pressure are they, and do you see them at all starting to turn the corner?
Two things. There's clear bifurcation in the U.S. between consumers that are doing well, and we can see them spending more in elevated experiences, entertainment, and traveling, and there's been a very good end of the year Christmas season for a lot of those consumers. We continue to see the lower end of the pyramid having problems to get to the end of the month, and that is a reality. We're hopeful that with inflation being under control, I would say.
It is under control?
It is in levels that are very manageable for companies like ours. We're used to this 2 to 3% level, and I think through productivity and other initiatives we can minimize the pricing. So I think we're in a much better place. So we're hopeful that with inflation being at a much lower levels, unemployment being so low around the world, so clearly we're everybody has a chance to work, majority around the world. Those two elements will help the lower income families improve their confidence and improve their ability to fulfill their dreams in a way in the coming year.
I remember last time we were here last year, it was weight loss drugs are going to hurt the packaged food industry. Fast forward a year, now we have the Surgeon General warning on alcohol risk. Of course, you don't sell alcohol, but there feels to be, if RFK might be running Health and Human Services, this backlash against big food. What do you think about that? And do you have to re-engineer products to get out in front of this?
Yeah, a lot of topics here. I would say obesity drugs is an important consumer development that we've been following for quite some time. I would say it is not impacting our business today. That doesn't mean that adoption could accelerate in the future and have some impact in the future. Now, the way we see consumers reacting to obesity drugs are a couple of areas. One is portion control. So we're seeing those consumers eating our products in smaller portions. We're seeing consumers looking for hydration. They need more hydration. We're very well prepared for that. We're seeing consumers in the search for more fiber, so they need more fiber, and we're very well prepared for that. We're also innovating. And then protein. So those are the areas where we see positive growth. If you think about our portfolio, we've always tried to have solutions for multiple day parts, different dietary preferences, and throughout the day. So we keep evolving the portfolio. This is what we've been doing for the last 20 years. Health and wellness is not a new trend at all. And we think we're well prepared. Some of that will be innovation that we will do organically. Some of that will be acquisitions that we're doing. So we just announced the Siete acquisition. This is an important acquisition for us, both from the cohort point of view, but also from the ability to move into meals and other occasions. The same with Sabra. Sabra gives us a big opportunity. It's plant-based protein, mini meals, so we will be innovating into that space much more. So again, we'll be evolving the portfolio to give consumer solutions. We're monitoring any consumer development around the world. We have very good insights, very good strategic people that are fitting that into our R&D developers and our marketing teams to make sure that we evolve always a little bit ahead of the consumer to try to satisfy their needs.
Do you worry that this administration targets packaged food?
Listen, again, it's not a worry. I think we've been leading the transformation of the food industry for many years. I mean, we've been leaders in sodium reduction. We've been leaders in sugar reduction. We've been leaders in eliminating fat from products. We've been actually in artificial colors. We've been leading. We don't have red dye 3 in our portfolio in the U.S. I would like for us to be also working with the new administration on how do we move forward eliminating artificial colors from food in the U.S. And I think it should be science-based, it should be very pragmatic, because we're going to have to build, as an industry, alternative supply chains for some of the the colorings, natural colors that would go into food. But I would say we as an industry should aspire to, in 3 or 4 years, no artificial colors in food. It should be across out of home consumption, in-home consumption, and make it in collaboration with the new administration. It is ambitious. I think it is doable, and it should be a private-public cooperation that drives that outcome, which would be very good for the American consumer. But it has to be a level playing field where we all make a move in the same direction at the same time, and that's what sometimes is difficult. It has to be well orchestrated, pragmatically implemented, because supply chains need to be built at scale for the scale of the U.S. market, which is, the largest market in the world. So it's not easy. It's not impossible. It needs cooperation. It needs public and private, good understanding, and it needs some leaders. Like we're willing to be those leaders that make them first moves.
I always run out of time with you here at Davos. You got to come on my podcast. We'll take that offline.
Okay.
PepsiCo CEO Ramon Laguarta, always a pleasure to see you.
Thank
I
you very
appreciate
much,
it.
Brian. Thanks.
All right, thank you so
Cheers.
much.